Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 172 of the Civil Gore podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And this is Brian, and we have a fun episode. We're back to our normal format today. We're gonna have a movie featured. We also, which I noticed there, I've kind of forgot to put some of the details on, even though we know what it is. But on our rundown, I left it off. But we have a movie. We have a great interview with our good friend Jeff Whitmire. Is coming on. So we're back with a vengeance today, I think. Even after our first season preview episode, now we're back like full on Civil Gore.
Yeah, this feels like classic Civil Gore today. Like this is back to the no previews, no dismemberments, no bonus. This is like hard hitting, first chop interview movie, triple threat, beer pairing, listener question, like all the stuff you love.
We got it all today.
We got it all. All right, well, let's get right into it without further ado. This is our first chop. Yeah, so I did start back on the backlog project, and my idea was I've got a spreadsheet of my backlog project, and I've got each disc has a column, movie, commentaries, extras. And my idea is if I could knock out just one of those things from one disc a day, I'd eventually get through it. Maybe. So that's what I was trying to do. And some days I get through, a little more than that. But the first one I did was I watched the From Beyond commentary with the great Barbara Crampton. Jeffrey Combs is on there. It was fantastic. This is from the Shout Factory Collector's Edition.
That's one we both bought, right? Over the summer when it was on sale?
Yeah, that's a great commentary. So you're going to enjoy that one, Brian. It's they're just having a lot of fun reminiscing about the movie. It's one of those commentaries, you have some that are like really technical. Those are usually like the director commentaries. Some that are just super like behind the scenes. And this one, and then you have some that are just like more lighthearted, like they're just getting together having a good time watching the movie. And this was like the perfect blend of the two because you had Barbara Crampton and Jeffrey Combs talking about the fun they had making the movie, and then you've got Stuart Gordon talking about the more technical aspect. I mean, it was just a perfect blend of commentaries. If you're ever going to watch a commentary, these are the kind that I love that just have that nice balance. And then along the same lines, we had the Friday the 13th Part 2 commentary, which I was very much looking forward to because it has Lauren Murray Taylor on it. And that one was, again, a lot of fun about them reminiscing about that movie. So both of those commentaries I can definitely highly, highly recommend.
Yeah, I need to catch back up on my my Friday the 13th set. I still need to watch the one last. I need to watch the commentary version of disc 1, then I can move on to disc 2. But yeah, no, it's definitely, I have a lot, obviously. My backlog project, I mean, if I started it now, I could finish it sometime before I die, maybe.
And that's just the horror ones. Non-horror too.
Just the horror, and that's if I live to like 107. So so I need to kind of keep going here. But one of the things I did watch was a great screener that we got sent. It's going to be on Shudder. I think as you're listening to this, it just debuted on Shudder a few days ago. But it's called Hunted, which is really, really good. I believe it's French or from Belgium. I'm not sure. I know. It's like they're the main actress is French, but it's really good. It's kind of in one of those those kind of like crazy person after heroine kind of movie, similar to movies Alone, but it kind of adds a little bit of folklore to it, but it's really, really good too. It's just it's a formula that tends to kind of like it either works or it doesn't. And this is one of the ones that works, which is good. I think, it's up there with Alone. Alone was still one of my top picks of the year. But this one is not. And by saying it's just a tad under is not a knock on this movie. It's still that good. It's just I thought Alone was just one of my favorites. But this one is is right up there, just a slight notch below it, but it's really, really good. Especially if you love that genre. Again, the main villain guy in it is really, really good, and the lead actress is great. And it adds a really cool little folklore. Definitely a lot more gore in this one than Alone had. So if you thought like Alone was great, but it needed more gore, well, that's what you kind of get with this. So.
Yeah, it's been getting a lot of buzz on the horror forums that I've seen. Some of the groups I've been a part of, I've heard people mention this when I post about it. So I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, definitely watch that. So by the time you're listening to this, it should be available on Shudder. As always, Shudder just continues to provide just some of the best movies out there in the world of horror. So so definitely check that out if you get a chance.
And next up, of course, as we alluded to earlier, our Puppet Master sets arrived.
Yes.
These were from that great Full Moon promotion where if you signed up for a year of their service, which was $60, their streaming service, that is, then you would get a full 12-disc set. It's 11 films and a bonus disc of the Puppet Master series, which I was thrilled because I do have a Puppet Master box set, but it is the original DVD box set. I believe it's only got 6 films in it. So, I mean, I doubled it and upgraded it at the same time. So I was really excited. That's one of my favorite franchises. I don't even know if I want to call it a guilty pleasure. I don't feel any guilt about loving Puppet
it's like
Master.
A quality franchise. I mean,
yeah. So, and then on top of it, to get their streaming service, which just has some crazy movies on it, which I can't wait to dive into.
Like 1,000 movies on there or something.
It's ridiculous. So I was kicking myself when this promo first came around, and I didn't jump on it, and I've just been like literally beating myself up every day over missing this promo. And then I heard a podcast where the guy from Full Moon said they would probably be bringing it back because it was so successful. And so I've been waiting every day, and then finally it comes, and I was able to take advantage. So I was just beyond thrilled. And then
thanks again to John Eversole to letting us know about it again.
Yeah, and then Brian and I have ordered the discs that are not in the box set, which are the 2 newest movies, Littlest Reich and Blade the Iron Cross.
Which are on sale, like $8 a piece on one on Full Moon and one on Amazon. So
we got those. I think the only one we can't get is Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys, and that's because it's not on Blu-ray that we can find.
Yeah, and it's not even on really a real version. I think there's a DVD, but it's like way out of print.
Yeah, so that's the only one missing. But we're gonna have the full collection to run down, and that's got to be a Slaycation. It's got to be.
Oh yeah,
it's got to be.
The one I have one little slight knock on the set, and it's nothing about the set itself. It's about the condition mine came in. So, and this happens a lot when you have a box set, like especially the older box sets, which has been around for a little while. So maybe this is the thing where it barely fits the box that it's in.
Mm-hmm.
And so mine was the outer box was had a little rip in it kind of thing. So it was a little open, but I managed to, I got the fixer on it. And as always, she finds a way, and she managed to put some tape on it. Such a good quality thing. You can't tell that there's tape on it.
Yeah.
So it closes up. But the problem is the first time I did it, I put the tape on the inside, and then I could not fit all the discs back in. It was just having trouble getting, but I did. But then, when I fixed it, I think we did such a good job that I couldn't fit the booklet in. But I figured out a way to do that. If you put the booklet lengthwise to the back behind all the discs, they all fit in perfectly, and you could move them in and out really smoothly. So there's a little life hack there for any box set when they have that. They always shove that little book in, and then it makes it
all
hard
bent. Yeah,
and it's hard to get it in. So if you put it behind all the discs, it's flat enough that the discs will sit in, and they just stick out slight enough that you can kind of get your finger and pop them out. It's great.
Nice.
So there's a little tip for you.
Life hacks from Brian. He should know. He's got enough Blu-rays.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, it's not like it's a surprise. I would know some hacks by now, on how to find a box set, how to pull them out. But the next thing I started with, I dove into my Taking Shape 2 book, which, oh my God. I mean, as much as I love the first one, this one, is so cool because it basically delves into all the unmade sequels to the Halloween franchise. Some that are like of legend, and some that are, that I didn't even hear of. There's one version of Halloween 4, and that's like how it begins because there's a bunch of it kind of almost starts like the story almost starts after Halloween 3, where they wanted to reinvigorate the franchise. remember at the time was a very polarizing movie. Halloween 3 is a lot of people didn't like. Now it's accepted and one of the most popular entries actually. But at the time, back then everyone expected Michael Myers. Wasn't it? Well, you know the story. We don't need to go into that. But so it basically kind of starts off as where they're trying to rebring Michael Myers back into the fold and make a new Halloween 4. And some of the ones are just. Some are good, some are wacko so far, and I'm like right now I'm up to where I'm up to the part where they've done the 4 has been made, or the official 4, and now they're working on different variants to 5. But there was one Halloween 4 where like it was like they basically called it the MTV version because that's when it was MTV was big when this Halloween 4 was trying to come out, and like. Not to spoil too many things, but like Michael Myers apparently like wore like a t-shirt.
Oh God!
And a leather jacket, and he drove around in a Porsche. Yeah, no,
well, at least it was an upgrade.
Yeah, this thing is crazy, but like to the point of where he actually they quote. There's a scene in it where he grabs and like the reason why this wasn't made eventually was because they could not get Jamie Lee Curtis back, so they had to write Laurie Strode out of it completely, but. Like, I guess she was like a photojournalist for a rocker. And so Michael Myers eventually storms through the rocker's house, kills the rocker or whatever it was. But they said it was going to be like a Sammy Hagar type of dude. But and so he sees the keys to the Porsche, he grabs it and he flips the keys up and catches it in midair and then goes to. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? But then I mean, there's some of the other sequels that are just so bizarro at some level. They have little pieces of it, but you see how eventually all the little pieces of it have come into future sequels. So it's kind of really. I mean, I just can't get enough of this book. I just wish I had more time because I could probably read it cover to cover, and this thing is like 500 and plus pages.
Wow. Yeah, I can't wait to get
these
that
two
one.
guys, we got to get them on the show. I could talk to them for hours. I want to hear about like this must be so much fun to write these books and just to find out all these like sequels that weren't made. It's so cool. So cool. So I highly recommend that. Get both the books in all honesty, but this one is just a great follow-up to the original.
Nice.
Oh, and then finally, real quick, I did get my In Search of Darkness 2 physical copy, which, as usual, they do a great job. They said a really cool pin with it and an amazing poster of the great artwork that David always gets to have for his documentaries. So very excited about that. It's got its place on the monolith. So I have my complete Search of Darkness, 9+ hours of joy.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Well, we have a fantastic interview here for you guys. Our buddy Jeff Whitmire, who is a talented musician aside from his hilarious parodies, and he's really branched into horror specific parodies recently, and they're just fantastic. I'm sure you guys have seen some of them because we've talked about them and posted about them. But it was just a absolutely wonderful interview with Jeff, who I was telling Brian before the podcast, Jeff's one of those guys that you feel like you've known him for years, even though you just met him.
Yeah.
And so it didn't even seem like an actual interview because it was just like,
yeah, I mean, it was an interview in the lightest sense, more just so it was more for the listeners actually, the interview segment, because we just can talk to Jeff whenever. But
yeah, we just bring him up anytime. But yeah, so Jeff was great enough to come on the show and talk about his experiences writing music, writing parodies, and what he's got coming up. So you're definitely going to want to check this one out. Our interview with Mr. Jeff Whitmire.
Over the time of us doing this podcast, we've had the honor of meeting some amazing people. One of those people, Jeff Whitmire, has become a good friend and collaborator. He also happens to be a fellow podcaster and horror parody songwriter extraordinaire. So here to talk about his latest project, among some other things, is our good buddy, Jeff Whitmire.
Hello, everyone. How you doing?
How's it going,
Doing
Jeff?
awesome. Thank you for being here.
No, thank you.
This was a long-awaited episode having you on, of course, because once we met you and we started chatting, we're like, okay, we were meant to meet Jeff and become friends because we all have way too many things in common.
Way too much in common, yeah. At least. I'm thinking I've got to get on that podcast. So it all.
Well, seriously, no, it's like it's second. Like I swear to God, I think I texted Tim right away. I'm like, how cool is this guy Jeff? He's like totally like our people. We need to like do something with him. And then, I mean, as we'll get to later, we not only just, got to know each other through different, through messaging and all this stuff, but we worked on some stuff together.
We got to work together. Yes.
Which is pretty cool. So, But
Nice.
I guess, Tim, actually, you have the first thing here.
Yeah,
So.
I get the honor of the first question.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
Jeff, this will be the easy softball question here at the start of the interview. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, will do. My name is Jeff Whitmire, and I'm a singer-songwriter from Pennsylvania. I'm a family guy. I've married with 5 kids. But a couple years back, I've always wanted to write music, and since I was a kid. But a couple years back, I finally got the chance when I accidentally stumbled on a YouTube channel, and it just kind of took off. And this year, and we can talk about this more later, I started doing horror parodies, and just really came into an awesome community of fans and friends, and which I am absolutely loving at the moment. So.
Well, and that's perfect because that leads right into my next thing I was going to say because of it's obvious we met through the horror community. So how did you become a fan of horror? Like, were you always one from a kid, or did you just kind of stumble upon it later on? Or
yes, so I'm 44 years old, so I was born in 1976, and as far back as I can remember, the 2 things I absolutely loved were music and horror. I loved performing music. I was in choirs from a very early age. Even back then, I think I had my little recorder and I was writing songs and music. But it was, and there's always some discrepancy. I say that one movie is my first, but I think it's between 2. But I remember being probably 5 or 6 years old in the early 80s. And my first movie was probably Halloween, 78. Which is the one I stick to, but it was early on, and my family was very supportive, which is weird now because they call them crazy movies. At this point. They're always like, "You're watching your crazy movies." I'm trying to get them to watch Host, but they won't pay the sub fee. But yeah. So, but back then, I remember it would be like Thanksgiving dinner. We'd be with our family at Thanksgiving, and we would pop in Halloween or Friday the 13th or something. And so it was really early that I got into a love of horror, and it's continued ever since. I'm a huge horror fan from day one. Every time they do those lists of like the 100 movies, have you seen these? Usually most of them. So
that's awesome. Yeah, and it's funny too. Another similarity we have is that's what I go on record as my first horror movie I've seen was the original Halloween. I mean, I probably had seen others because I had cable, and we had cable early on as I was really little, and my dad had it. So I'm sure I probably saw it in the background or something, or seen clips of horror movies or pieces of it. But I know Halloween was the first. I'm almost guaranteed that was the first one I actually sat down voluntarily watched when it was and that was back when it would air on television pretty early before it was even on it has the whole way the secession now, how like seeing a movie on actual network television anymore is pretty rare. But so I still remember when it was on, and I was actually watching it with a babysitter at the time. So it's kind of like almost this meta thing of watching a horror movie about being babysitters being stalked with a babysitter. So I'm definitely we're right on the same page there.
Well, it was either that, and I was thinking about this actually recently because I'm doing another cast tomorrow where I'm doing my first horror film. And
with Ken, right?
I'm doing it with Ken tomorrow.
Awesome.
So I'm doing Sledgehammer, and he asked, "What is your first?" When I DM'd him, and I said Halloween. I almost think, though, there could be a tie on this one because I vaguely remember my brother was hardcore, and I talk about this a lot because I love my brother. But he's the one that got me into my safe field because I wanted to go into music. I really wanted to go into music. I wanted to be a singer, a songwriter, but everyone told me back then you can't do that. That's not a safe career. So I became a special education teacher, and my brother is actually what would be called ID now, MR back then, but he loved big scary stuff. He had he loved Iron Maiden, and so he's an awesome artist, and he had this giant mural of Number of the Beast painted in his wall with glowing eyes, the Yeti and everything. But I would sneak into his room when he wasn't there, and he had like stacks of videos. I don't know where he got them. But he had like stacks of horror videos, and for me, it was like going into the forbidden zone to watch his videos. But he had the 1968 Roger Corman, The Terror, with Boris Karloff. Okay. I almost don't know if that was my first one because I remember watching that and being so freaked out by those opening credits. It had early Jack Nicholson actually, and Dick Wilson from Gremlins was there. But so I don't know. It was one of those two, I think. But looking back now, that movie is is extremely cheesy, but it was so much fun back then. And like I said, I realized early on, I love being scared. I want to be in a dark room watching horror and being scared. I love it.
I mean, I also think too, that question of your first horror movie, I think it doesn't have to be answered actually with your first actual horror movie that you might have seen on there if you're not watching it, if you're not watching it intently or just kind of in the room when it's on. But I think it's the first movie that you sit down 100% watch and focus and make
And remember, yeah.
I think that's what you go. And that's why Halloween is that for me.
Halloween would be that one. Yeah, that would stick with me.
So kind of skewing away from the horror a little bit, you guys may not know that Jeff is also a podcaster, so he knows all the work that goes into these things. So tell us a little bit about your podcast.
I actually co-host the Bare Naked Ladies podcast, and that was also by accident. 3 years ago, I was just I'm not a teacher anymore. I actually work with disabled adults, in group homes. I'm a supervisor, but like I said, the writing bug always has always been there for me, and I stumbled into this accidentally. And so in the last 3 years, it's been a whirlwind, and I'm loving it. But one of the things that happened was I had to do a tribute for Weird Al. There was no doubt. I love Weird Al. I would do parodies. And I wrote a parody, really extensive parody of his original song, Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota, where I reference his stuff about 55 times. And it's one of the ones that if I ask people to name what their favorite song from me is, that one comes up a lot. And this guy who liked it said, "Do you like Bare Naked Ladies?" I don't know how we started talking. I'm like, "I love Bare Naked Ladies, one of my favorite bands." He's like, "Well, I want you to guest on this podcast." And I'm like, "Cool." So I did one episode, and then a couple weeks later, he's like, do another one. I guessed it about 3 or 4 times, and then I just never left. And we started asking. I did interviews with him with like Andy Cregan, the original bassist or the keyboard player from Bare Naked Ladies. We did. I'm drawing a blank on his name now. I'm just gonna kill me. The guy who in Dumb and Dumber. He's Kevin Hearn's cousin, but in Dumb and Dumber, he's the cop who drinks the pee.
Harlan.
Harlan. Yeah. So he asked me to come on and interview him. And so I started doing some of the big interviews and everything. And it just kind of stuck around. And so now I just am a co-host for that one as well.
That's super cool. My wife and I went to see Bare Naked Ladies in Charlotte. This was before we were even married, I think. I think we were still dating at the time. I'll never forget it because during the concert, there was a big windstorm and it knocked out power to everything surrounding the Coliseum. Of course, the Coliseum had generators, so we were fine. But they came back on stage, and you know how they would do their during concerts, they would like make up raps.
Yes,
rap songs,
ad-lib
like
a lot,
spontaneous.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they did a completely ad-lib rap song about the power outage in Charlotte during the concert that had just literally happened minutes before.
I've heard about that one actually.
It blew my mind. It really blew my mind. So I was a fan. I was a fan before that, but I was even a bigger fan after seeing that.
That's one thing that they do so well. And even now Steven's not there anymore, and we talk about that a lot about post Steven, pre Steven. But
right.
One thing they do so well is they just feed off each other and they improv, and those raps are usually based on something that may have happened that day or happening right now. And it's just amazing to me how they do that. Because I know for me, I always tell people I'm funny, but I'm not spontaneously funny. Which is why I didn't think I could ever even be a podcaster or do podcasts, because I'm not someone who feels like I'm witty on the spot. I need a quiet place in about 3 hours to be witty.
So I guess he's trying to hinting us that this interview has got to go really long.
It's going to go really long for me to say something funny. Yes, I got to say. If you want footage, you're going to have to keep rolling.
That's okay. We'll just keep this on in the background. But it's funny. The Bare Naked Ladies, to me, you're going to laugh on how I discovered them, actually. I mean, I know they had hits, but when I first ever even knew who they were was because I think it was it Channel 11 near me used to run that little clip of the Ballad of Gordon.
Yeah.
That little thing. And that's why I was like, wow, what band is this? This song is really catchy. And then I realized it was an actual band. And then
Yeah, not even an official track either. That's cool. That's
no,
awesome.
and I found it. I remember back somehow I got that off of one of the things on the internet. I don't know, some kind of whatever, one of those sharing sites, and it's like so straggly and bad quality. I don't think you can get that anywhere, right? Legit, or
it's hard. It's a deep cut. So
yeah, it's hard to find. So actually, Tim, I realized I wrote kind of like a double thing here. So it's like I'll just I might take your number 5 here.
Oh yeah,
I realized we kind of answered.
Kind of blends in, yeah.
But
double thing.
So, I know, yeah. So
should I stretch first or
yeah, get some calisthenics going.
Yeah.
So we know obviously got into how you kind of got into music, but like, you know, your niche now, it seems like, of course, and we don't want to like make you like now, like this is your only thing you could ever do now.
By pigeonhole me.
yeah. But your niche definitely.
Never do anything else, Jeff. Just
I know that's it. We're typecasting you as this person now. No. But your niche lately for sure is like as parody songs, of course. And like, so what made you go that way? And like, I mean, I obviously know one of your inspirations who it is, but like when did you like come up with like, you know what, I think I need to do parody songs?
I've always felt strongest on lyrics is the big thing. First of all, I feel like I'm better at words and coming up with music, and I'm kind of working on that now, and that'll be coming soon. But I've always felt better at lyrics, and with parody, that's the nice thing is you have an existing melody, and you can write new lyrics for it. And it's a legitimate art form. I know not everyone feels that way, but it's legitimate, you know. So, but back in college, I was writing parodies. I had a friend who I recently interacted with in a strange way, and I can tell that story if you want, but later. But my friend and I used to write parodies all the time. We didn't start the fire parody on the band bus in college, and so it's always kind of been there. The way it kind of really started up again, and I think I'm always writing parodies in my head. I always have been, or writing lyrics, and a couple even before this, I started really hitting the musical hard, which is original music. So 3 years ago, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Channel Awesome.
It
sounds
familiar,
vaguely,
but I'm wondering if you told me about it previously.
I might have. So Channel Awesome was this big internet site with a lot of reviewers. It was internet reviewers like Chris Stuckman and Tony Goldmark and Todd in the Shadows. The guy with the glasses. It was a big internet review site that I was obsessed with. I loved watching a lot of the different creators on that site do movie reviews and music reviews and everything. And they had about 3 years ago in March, they had this huge collapse where there was like all this stuff going around about how badly the producers were being treated, the creators and all of that. And little by little, they started trickling out. And we're talking dozens and dozens of creators were leaving the site. And I don't know what got the idea in my head, if it was Melissa, who's a good friend of mine, who's on Zoom, or someone else. I wasn't even on Twitter at that point. I didn't do a lot of social media. I was just kind of, home and doing my thing. And someone said, we got to do something about this. So I had the idea of writing a parody about that big collapse to the day the music died. So I did The Day the Awesome Died. And I just wrote this parody about it, and I was on Smule very actively back then, the karaoke app, which I use all the time, and not so much anymore, but for years it was a big thing. So I recorded it on Smule, and I went to YouTube, and I'm like, so I'm putting my YouTube account information in here and uploading to YouTube. Naively, not even realizing that meant I just created a YouTube channel. I didn't think that's what I was doing. I was just going to upload the song so maybe some people could see it. Within an hour, it blew up. And it's still, I think, my second most viewed viewed video. But like people were like, "Oh my God, this is amazing! This is great! This is great!" I'm like, "What is happening right now?" And they're like, "You have a new view to your channel, new subscriber to your channel, new subscriber." I'm like, "What is going on right now?
What channel?
Like, what channel? What are you talking about?" Was literally what I said. I was like, I said to my wife, "I'm like, what's that? What is this?" The Blockbuster Buster, one of the reviewers, I get this message, or like, "Hi," one of my favorites, and he's like, "Hi, I'm his wife. We are absolutely loving this. This is amazing." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And so people started saying, "You've got to do another one about Channel Awesome." I'm like, how much more can I say? Which is what some people will do too, like with hosting the movies and stuff. Like what I've already said what I wanted to say, but they're like, someone has to do this to We Didn't Start the Fire, which I've already written a parody for, but I'm like, God, okay. So I did that one even bigger, and it was like thousands and thousands of views. I think, I don't remember what it's at now. I haven't looked in a while because I've kind of like, I don't really check that. They're not my official first ones, but yeah. So my wife just casually goes, "I guess you've got a YouTube channel now. You should do parodies. You're kind of good at this." And sure, but I'm like, I don't want to keep writing Channel Awesome parodies. So what do I write about? She's like, anyway, just make the video, just, do your thing. And I'm going to go watch this Jason Momoa movie, Braven. And she went back to the bedroom. My wife is obsessed with Jason Momoa in an almost unhealthy way. And she went back. I'm like trying to get this thing recorded for the other video and that I was not ever going to continue doing. And, an hour and a half later, I think I'm wrapping up. She comes out and I'm like, "Hey, how was the movie?" She's like, "I mean, it was good, but he didn't take off his shirt enough." The next day I'm driving and Hey There Delilah comes on the radio, and immediately my brain, which we'll do often. Now I have Brian for this, but,
Yeah.
but before that, Brian will now shoot me DM ideas, but before then it was just me. And so I'm driving and Hey There Delilah comes on. And I start going, "Hey there Momoa, what have you done to my spouse? It seems that everywhere I look there's posters of you around my house. That's not okay." I was like, oh, that's gotta happen. So I wrote that song while working with my elderly adults, and that's still my baby. That's the one I consider the first one. And I made a really cheesy video for it. And then I got connected with a comedy music group called the FUMP, the funny music project, and started doing the songs and stuff. That song got nominated for their award for parody of the year.
Wow.
I'm like, you know what? I guess I just got to keep doing this now. So
You're in.
So I was it. So yeah. So ever since that one, it just has been not as consistent as I like, but it's been, pretty consistent.
Well, I think people do underestimate how difficult it is to write a good parody, because you go on YouTube, it's littered with bad parodies.
Yeah.
And that's why it's hard to get noticed too.
Yeah. And one of my favorite YouTube parody people is Randy Rainbow, who does political satire. And I was trying to tell somebody that his stuff is good because he understands. This is sometimes people that do bad parodies don't understand his syllable count and
the cadence and everything.
And they're trying to shove too many words in, and it just sounds off. But when you have that musical understanding like he does, you make good parodies. And I don't know how to explain it other than growing up as a Weird Al fan.
Yeah.
From childhood on, you know good parody from bad parody. And
You're actually nailing the description, though. You absolutely are right on. I mean, that is, to me, the separation between a good parody and a bad parody. A good parody, and I actually emailed Randy when he was first starting out because I had written a Trump song.
Oh, nice.
Which is now buried. I'm trying to find it. I really want to find it, but I had to bury it because it was on my YouTube channel and it caused a lot of family turmoil. But I actually emailed him the song to see if he wanted to collab on it early on, because I found that out too. Collab is big. But yeah, so you got it right though. I mean, with parody, I know, and some are even more sticklers than I am on this. Like my friend Insane Ian, he wants to match every rhyme to the original song. Like he would as much as possible. Like,
wow.
I will do that so long as I can fit the joke in. Like with Zoom, for example, I want the cadence of the lines to fit perfectly. I don't want to add too many lines. I don't want to go over what the syllabic rhythm is. But if I can get the lines to match the rhyme scheme of the original, I try and do that too. But you're absolutely right. I think that's a big difference, and I think that's trying to really get people to see that is tricky, because there's so much just, I did a parody on YouTube, and
well, I could speak for Tim on this one for your Momoa one. I think he'd want you to do one for Joe Manganiello.
Oh my God, yes.
He's also on my wife's list, by the way. So I don't know what's going on.
I think they go together. I think it's like
If you watch the video of Momoa, I hold up her list. He's on there too.
Yeah.
That was
Oh
actually.
my god.
And think about it, they're both JMs. What's going
Yeah,
on there?
right.
Jason
Yeah, I don't
Momoa,
know. Yeah.
Yeah,
Joe
my wife
Manganiello.
was livid because I was literally within 2 feet of Joe Manganiello at Gen Con
Mhm.
one year
Yeah.
because he's a big D&D fan, and I had no clue. All I did is I walked past him and I thought, that guy looks just like Joe Manganiello, but it can't be him because he's not big enough. And then I get back home and read that he was at Gen Con. So
Yeah.
he still
But
has
that happens though when you go to cons. You're like, oh, you're not quite the height or look I was expecting. Except
these guys get
Tony
pumped up for
Todd.
their
Tony Todd,
magazine.
you can't miss. But
Well, and Tim, now you know why Olivia has no problem with you going to Gen Con every year. She's hoping that
He's hoping. Yeah.
once again you'll be able to see him.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna have to think about this. Manganiello, however you pronounce it.
I don't know.
That's a difficult one. That's a lot of syllables.
Yeah, I don't know what even song would rhyme with that one. That's
It's a tough one.
yeah.
If you gave me enough time, I would figure something out.
All right, I guess this next one's mine. I guess, Brian.
Yeah.
We'll go with it.
We flipped.
You have the easy one. You have the easy one, so I'm.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the Zoom where it happens. That's our latest collaboration there.
Yes.
And
let's talk about it.
It even got the filmmaker's approval, which was super cool. I mean, there's filmmaker integration into this project. So what was it like to get that kind of attention for one of your parodies? I mean, this isn't you making a parody and just kind of throwing it up there. This is like you got people that made the film now watching and laughing and approving of the parody.
I'm kind of liking this forum because it doesn't really carry over on Twitter. So let me tell you how it felt. It felt amazing. Absolutely. When I write, I mean, everybody who creates is passionate, even if it's not job or it's not your career. I mean, I love what I write. I love to write, and I want the people that wrote the original song. I'd love to hear what they have to say. I mean, I don't need to be retweeted or famous or make money off this. It'd be cool, but just to hear that, hey, I like that. And when I do something, it's always a tribute to two things. Everything I write is a tribute to two in most cases. It's a tribute to the original, and it's a tribute to what I'm writing about. Because that's another thing too. A lot of people go, "Oh, parody makes fun of the original song." Good ones don't. I find that I enjoy and write a better parody if I like the original source, and I love Hamilton, and I love Toast. And I had hit a real big slump when quarantine started in March. I had the idea for the musical. I had just done the Falm, which is the February album Writers Month. I'd just written 12 originals. I was like, the cool thing about quarantine is I'm going to get so much done. I'm going to write so much because I'm going to be home all the time. And I think a lot of people thought that way. And within a few months, by the end of May, beginning of June, and I've talked about this pretty openly, I was like done. I was like, I don't want to write anything. I don't feel funny. I don't feel happy anymore. And I was ready to just be like, what's the point? I mean, I've got kids at home. I've got a wife. I've got a house. I'm like, this is not making money. Why am I spending so much time? Because I do spend a lot of time in the music. What's the point? And then at the end of July, I started hearing this buzz about this movie coming out, this like filmed in quarantine hour-long movie on Shudder. And I've had Shudder for years, and I will never get rid of it. But I just watched it on a Saturday morning. I watched Toast, and I think my wife came into the tail end of it, and I said, that is the most amazing thing I've seen. Like, that was so unbelievable. And they did this at home in lockdown. You've just lost all your excuses. Like, you need to get rid of them. Like, and I wrote the first round of lyrics for the 6 minute. Like, as soon as Host was over, I immediately in my head heard the Zoom where it happened. That was pretty quick. And I think that Saturday night I wrote the first draft, and it wasn't great, but it was like, yeah. And then so Sunday I really started polishing, listening to the original, like we talked about. And I'm trying to get that crazy cadence to the song because it's all over the place. And by the following week, I had made my original first video for it, and I posted it on a Sunday. And I think I posted it right when they were having their wrap up too. Like, they were all in the park and everything. So like nothing was happening. I'm like, why did they even do this? Little by little, I started hearing like comments from Emma and Gemma and Jed and Rob and Salen and everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, they actually really like this. This is crazy. But it was huge. Like, I wanted them to like it. It was a tribute. So,
well, yeah. And I mean, it was amazing that you actually came up with it pretty quick. And like between that and the 1BR song, it's like right in the height of these films, you had the parody song to go with it.
Well, the 1BR song was their idea, but
Like they did that one?
That was an accident. Yeah. Actually, I guess the another horror podcast does parodies on their channel. I can't remember their name now. The Texas Chainsaw.
Oh yeah. I can't remember the name. Yeah. But...
And I must have joked about it, and someone said, "Hey, you know, they already did kind of one. They did Private Eyes parody, the Hall & Oates song, to 1BR, but they did like a little snippet. It was really good though. It was like a minute long song." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." I said, "Well, they already did it." And Alok on the Twitter feed said, "But you should still do yours." Like, okay. So yeah, I got to work on that one pretty quick too.
And that one's amazing too. That one's actually like, because the original song is so good to begin with. So, you know,
kind of combining my two worlds, because I used the Bare Naked Ladies.
Yeah. So I thought that was great. But yeah, no, but I mean, I think the fact that you came up with this while everybody, and I know like the actual finished product of the one that you wanted with, all the fans involved and everything in just got released. But like, the song itself was out for a while ago, and it came out right when, at the height of this, when people were like,
yeah,
I mean,
beginning
it's
of August,
still a buzz host. I mean, it still gets buzz, but at its highest point, when everyone was just finding it and discovering it, it was great that you had like, not like a parody song, and I don't see any other ones of it. I've seen people do.
I haven't, no, and that's weird. I thought I would see more.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people do jokes about it, like the memes and the gifs and all that stuff. And I did a couple of like little like memes for us and stuff for from like I did the Spookies Bunch picture and stuff. But like you came up with this whole like incredible song, and it was also that Hamilton was still huge.
It was a good, because Hamilton had really just been released on Disney Plus like back in June, so it just worked out.
Timing is everything, and I don't think you could have ever come up with a better time for that thing.
I wish the one thing I wish for hosts is I wish more Hamilton people were seeing it, because I think in my head, because like I said, I know that not everyone who likes Hamilton is going to like a parody. But there's a part of me that's just like, I've tagged Lin-Manuel like twice in it. I'm like, come on, please. That would be one I would love to hear. Like, and he loves parody. Weird Al's his friend, so I'm like, come on, Lin, you got it.
He hasn't. Has he said he hasn't seen?
He has not yet. So, but I'm like, I think like, especially with the new one, like I think we got the spirit of the original song too. So I'd love to hear what he has to say, or more Hamilton fans. Like, yeah, you really kind of got that Broadway vibe on this one.
I mean, you got Tim and I to kind of sing, so I mean that's
a big
in itself.
Yeah.
That was never a doubt for me when I knew, and I know not everyone got that. They're like, why are you remaking it? It's on there. Well, first of all, I can't put that original version on an album. I learned that the hard way early on. If you take a karaoke track and you put it on YouTube, you can't put it on an album. You can't sell it. It's illegal. So you have to either create your own music or have someone else do it. I have a producer that I pay to come up with these tracks, and or at least that's how I've done it so far for my first album and everything. So I sent him the idea. He's like, oh God, this one's gonna cost you. I'm like, all right, let's do it though. And I knew I had to do it. I even mentioned it to like Emma when I started like peeking around to see who all from the cast and crew would want to be on it, because that was a no-brainer too. I wanted to see if I could get any of them, and Emma's like, oh, it's perfect the way it is. I'm like, and I'm realizing now too that there's always that issue with like Alan mentioned this too. It would be considered a cameo if he was in it, and there's that issue with talent agencies and all that. So I started to think there's no way any writer or cast member is ever going to be on this song, and that changed.
Yeah. Well, at some level, I think getting Salen on there as the person to get,
it's the best.
It's so cool because literally you have, she's featured in the song in a whole segment to her own. So the fact that you got her of all people, I think was I don't think you could have got. I mean,
she's never stopped loving it. Like she was all in from day one. Yeah. She gave me ideas.
Yeah, I mean, because granted, like every person in that cast was just phenomenal, and every person that worked on it is phenomenal. They're the greatest people, but like I think Salen was the most impactful to be in this song. I think just because of her role in the the movie, so to have her in there, and
and she had actual lines in the song too.
I know,
like, I
and
wrote lines for her, so right.
I mean, Salen says, and then I'm sure people are, when they're listening to it for the first time, and all of a sudden they see, oh my god, that's actually Salen.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I did say to her, because I'm like, I also know too, getting people to stick around for a 6-minute song is insane. And I've always been told, don't look at the average view, because if you are on YouTube, you can see your average view, and it's like for Zoom, it's like 2.5 minutes. So the average time as people are getting to it is halfway through. So pretty early on, because again, I wasn't even really thinking video when I came up with it. I said, I want to do an album version. I want it to be fans. I want fans to be on this. It doesn't sound right as a musical song with me doing all the parts. It should be lots of people. So I knew that. Then Sailing came on board and everything too, and it started to gel and come together. And Austin's music on that is fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved what he did with the track. Excuse me. And so when we did meet, because we actually met on a Zoom call for your listeners there, Tim and Brian and everyone involved. They're like, well, you got to do a video. And I'm like,
just like, wait a minute.
We do, I guess, don't we? We got to do something. Because I would have been happy just to get on Zoom with everybody and lip sync it. I would have been fine with it. I'm glad that's not what happened, though, because I love the video so much. But so when I actually, again, thought I was going to meet with everyone for 15-30 minutes, and we were going to shoot some scenes, and we were going to make this video. That didn't happen either, because every session with every person in that video lasted between 2 and 3 hours. How long was ours? I think it was about 2.
Well, no, actually, we were close. We were pretty tight, because we had the other. We had the.
You had something else, yeah.
Yeah, we had another thing. So you actually did good. So you were already we were the last ones too, I think. So you probably
were
had
the
it
last
down
ones,
pat.
yeah. And that's the other thing too. I'm not a director. I make videos for my songs, but it's usually just me lip syncing in my chair, and then I do some editing, and we call it a day. So I had to actually think, okay, how am I going to do this? With most everyone, that was fine, because we're just fans. With Salen, she got annoyed because she's like, you need to tell me what to do. I'm an actor. I'm like, okay. Several times she's like, you need to tell me what I'm supposed to do. I'm like, so it was a good experience for me, actually, to be on a call, because I was on a Zoom call with Salen in that room. Which is one of the highlights of the year, let's be honest. For 3 hours we're shooting this thing, and I said I want something for the beginning, so people watching will know Salen is on this video and it's not stock footage. So we had shot her turning off the light, which I used later, which I liked. I can't remember, there was one other she removed the tape from the screen, which Brian had suggested too, and I wanted to do it, and I realized after I had shot the video, I couldn't go back and add that. Or at least if I can, I don't know how, because once I have everything set in place, how do I move everything to put that? I have to work on that. I figure that out. There's probably a way, but
director's cut.
Director's cut. But yeah, so she did the wink, and I'm like, the wink, that's what we're doing, and I love that shot at the beginning, where people watching know something is different here. So.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. And I think the most amazing thing that you've done with this parody song is the amount of references from the movie that I've seen movie a lot. And even in the first couple times I heard the song, I was like, what does he mean by that? And then I was I would watch it again. I said, oh, wait, that's what Jeff was talking about. So that's how good this is for hardcore host fans. It gives you give them every possible little reference that you could. I mean, just little hints of lines and about Radina's magnets, and and it's
which is actually one of the first things I noticed. But yeah,
it's amazing, the little things, the one line. It's the funniest thing, and I always sit there saying it out loud, is the when you Emma's cake wasn't made, and it's that scene is so iconic with all the flour and everything, and then you realize it wasn't until your song I realized, what, she probably was trying to make a cake.
I actually she probably should get a writing credit for that one, because I think she mentioned that on Twitter before I wrote it. I would have gotten there. I'm going to claim this. I would have gotten there eventually. So when I sit down to write a parody, it's obviously not just okay, I've got an idea for a song and I start writing lyrics. Maybe at one point that was, but now these days, with the one that's coming up, but when I sit down to write a parody, I watch the source material. I Google, I watch it over and over and over, and I write down the 1BR song, the host song, the Weird Al song, which had pages of just song lines. So I do write everything down, and I go, okay, what do I want to use? Because I think as I'm doing that, I start already hearing jokes in my head, like the magnet line was one, because Salen's doing this, and in the back you see Radina with this ridiculous amount of magnets on her fridge. And I'm like, I'm gonna mention it. Never thought back then I would have Salen saying that line, but yeah, so yeah, I mean, I tend to do a lot of overboard research when I know I'm about to do a song. We talked about the one with the movie, which I won't mention here, but the one. So that one I have to do a couple rewatches of to research. But so I think I probably would have gotten to the Emma one, but she had just, I think on Twitter when I was writing this, mentioned, "Oh, it's a shame my cake never got made," and I'm like, "Oh, that's going in there."
Because it is true. It's like you don't even realize that you like somehow went into like the expanded universe of the movie.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah,
within
right.
there, you know, like,
Yeah, we did expand the universe anyway because we know where Salen went now.
that's true. We did.
That was
so we got
she. I actually, I had a lot of other ideas, and she didn't want to do them. I actually wanted her. She said, "Well, should I sneak off and start drinking?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely," because that's the one thing is she doesn't get to do the shot because they're all kind of mocking her at that point, and so we definitely agreed. Yes, you're going to sneak off for the delivery, and you're going to do a shot, and to the line of these writers must like to mess with our heads, I suppose. I also wanted her to come back as if she was now still observing and have a tally board behind her and be like, but she's like, would that mess up the narrative? And I'm like, maybe, but it would be funny.
like I said, maybe you'll have to do a sequel or director's cut version. Where
I do want to do I actually want to do a blooper reel. Just to warn you guys, I
my
really
God,
want to do
like
a blooper.
all of me and Tim's.
That would be
lines,
great.
pretty
Yeah,
much?
that'd just be our whole thing.
It would be you and Tim for 3 hours. Actually,
Well, my favorite one was the one where Tim like just where he literally was so into like the lead up to the song, he just let it go by his line, and then
it would just be 3 hours of me missing cues. That would be.
But we gotta do reels too, O'Brien, with you going happy spookies.
Oh yeah, all my Yiddish man person. Yeah.
But yeah, but Salem did say, she's like, if you do a blooper reel, she's like, I don't like blooper reels. I'm not saying don't do it, but if we do one, I want to meet with everyone beforehand and see what you have on there. And I'm like, but it would just be fun. It would be like us hanging out, like, because I made some horrible jokes during some of the ones. Like Melissa's, who I know, who I'm comfortable with, I made some really bad jokes, but listening back, I'm like, that's actually kind of funny.
Well, I know you're worried about the Hamilton fans here. Tim actually posted it in our his brother's Harry Potter. He has a Harry Potter podcast, and they have a Discord where we go in there, and there's actually a Hamilton channel. So Tim posted the song in there, the link to the song in there for everyone to hear. So
okay,
we told them about it. So hopefully, now they probably have to see Host first to really get it. We told them, but
that's. I mean, I'm not subtle. We joke about that with the 1BR team because I mean, I pretty much spoil everything. So
but you know what? 1BR got picked. I think it got so much popularity over the summer. I'll tell you, Alok knows how to promote his.
Oh yeah.
And that was a huge key because I mean, I know we promoted it as much as we could because we loved that movie, but we saw so many people discover it and then like thank him, you know, and I'm like, that's someone that knows how to promote.
Well, Alok and Jed, I think, are both really good at that. Like better than a lot of us are. And not to nitpick, but there's other great movies that came out in 2020, and I chat with the people that made the movies, just like I'm sure you guys do. Who I feel like even now I'm starting to see it. I'm watching Jed and Alok. I'm like, guys, you got to promote this different. Like, you got to get it out there. Josh Rubin, come on, Scare Me out there. Justin Dyke from Jackson, like, get that movie out.
Oh yeah, that movie. I love that movie. Well, and some of the other ones too that we saw over the summer, like Alone, and
which I've yet to see.
The Dead Ones. I mean, there's some really good movies out there. And the Beach House, I don't think had enough push. You know how good it was. I mean, there's a lot. I think. So I think it's important, and that's I think what was so good. And Alok was so passionate about his, the movie, so it made it really. And he happens to be such an awesome dude too. So it's like,
yeah. I've gotten a chance to chat with him a little bit. So yeah, he's great.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess this is where we get to you get to tell us about any upcoming projects that you can speak about.
Yes, we know you have some secret
you have
ones.
any? Yeah, me and Brian sometimes have the inside scoop, but we don't.
Yeah.
Tell.
You guys know actually some of them already.
Yeah.
So somehow I've branched off and I'm working on 2 albums simultaneously because I knew that the horror movie parody album was going to have to happen. With Host, and now we have the album version already. The 1BR song then came afterwards. That's going to get an album version. Maybe. That's a sneaky thing because as we were talking, even Alok and I talked, I'm like, is there another song I can do this with that would still be good? So, the 1BR might even get 2. We're not sure yet. Because there was another song I heard, and I'm like, oh, why didn't I do that one? And I'm not regretful, but and then I did back in February, I had done Blind Date at a double feature about Rocky Horror, and I'm a huge advocate of like the people that are crazy, and I love writing about crazy fandoms. I wrote about Bronies because I love Bronies. I can tell that story, by the way. First of all, I should say that my friend who in college was the person I wrote the parodies with. We didn't talk for a long time. We fell out just like friends do and everything. And it really got in my head that I wanted to write a parody about Bronies because I do like fandoms that are eccentric, that really are devoted, that are not bad people that get looked down on because of the things that they love. I mean, so what? These grown-up men like My Little Pony. What's the big deal?
We know a big dude that loves it.
Right. And
So
I met a lot.
and
Through writing that song, I met a lot. I actually, that was one of the first songs where I actually had people that were basically giving me things that I could use and say, like, oh, are you guys okay with this? Am I saying something offensive? Because I don't want to. And that's, to this day, I still think, my wife hates me for this, but I think that's my favorite song that I've written. But, so I set that to the Akon song, and then I ended up adding the Bobby Vinton version at the beginning. But so I was doing the video for that one, which is, again, one of my favorite videos I've done. And I was going through clips of My Little Pony, and I actually watched about 17 hours of My Little Pony to write that as well, too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a lot. That was a research crazy one.
Yeah.
But I was watching like BronyCon videos of the last few BronyCons, which they ended the year I did that, by the way. And so I'm watching these BronyCon videos to get footage for the video. And I see this person going, like, before everyone's about to let in, they're like doing this before everyone's about to go. And I look and I'm like, that's my friend from college that I wrote the parodies with. That is him. And then there he is interviewing Tara Strong. And I'm like, what is happening? And it's him. He apparently is a diehard brony. And I messaged him and he's like, you made an album without me. And I'm like, when we wrote parodies together, I'm like, you're so in the next one, dude. Trust me. But yeah, so that happened. But which I thought was a really cool way to bump in. So we've been chatting ever since. But I did want to do one for the Rocky Horror fandom too, because I've actually been a participator in midnight shows and I know people that were. And so I did the Rocky Horror one. My next one's crazy. My next 2 are crazy. One is going to be about a very polarizing movie to a very polarizing song. And the other one is to a 2020 movie that I'm hoping I can pull off to vocally, performance-wise. I think that one might be crazy. And Brian knows and Tim know both of these, so yeah. They're just so as for the rest, I don't know yet. I'm still waiting to see which kind of buzz hits me. I might wait and see some of the 2021s. I also went back and I'm working on my album of originals, because I went back and I listened to those February songs that I wrote, and I'm like, I really like these. I did a good job with them, even the music, which I don't do. I'm a lyricist. I'm really happy with them, and I want to do something with them. So I'm actually in the process now of figuring out how I'm going to do them. But the first one's probably going to be done a cappella, and I'm working on it now, and I'm hoping that's going to be released this weekend.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. I want to kind of set the buzz that, hey, this guy doesn't just do parodies, and see what happens. I posted on Twitter recently. I'm like, this year, because of Host and everything that brought me and all the friendships and all the things, from here on out, basically my role is this. I'm going to throw it against the wall and see what sticks. If it's something I want to write, original, parody, whatever, I'm going to throw it against the wall and see what sticks. So I'm going to do, working on an album of originals, album of parodies, and I'm also continuing work on my musical, which I can say is a kind of a dark comic satire about a famous historical event. But that's about as far as I will go with that one. Because I don't want someone to take my idea.
No,
because it's taking me years to write this thing. I'm about an act's worth. I have about an act written, and there's again another collab forming because I've in the process met someone through this year, like so much of us have, that actually I think would be perfect to help with that one. So they're interested. So they're joining me. So we'll see.
Well, and I'll volunteer Tim for any vocals for you. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he did pull off the best vocals on Zoom, I think.
I agree too.
I mean,
it's those dulcet tones of his, you know.
That was right.
They know no bounds. They go everywhere.
Whatever.
You don't even know that the followers
the richness, the depth. Tones. I mean, it was so good, and we should point out to the audience. I'm gonna totally crash this party. We should point out that Tim was also asked if he wanted to dance during the final sequence, and
I don't dance.
He politely, respectfully bowed out.
My dancing is even worse than my singing. And
mine's not good either, though. But
yeah, mine wasn't either. But I figured I could. You know, since I did that, it's basically my hand gesture too. But I did do the
Elaine.
The good thing is, when we did the shot line, that was before the dancing sequence.
And I used
real alcohol for that, so I guess that's got you that liquid courage.
That gave you that little bit of courage.
For the 8 seconds of dancing, yeah.
But by the way, I told everyone you didn't have to use real alcohol during the shot scene, and everyone did. So I'm not really sure what that meant. Like, just means Sayla actually pulled out a new bottle. Apparently, she got it as a gift. She's like, "New bottle. I'm gonna open it."
You hired method actors, is what you did. You don't even realize it.
That's true. Yeah, right.
I mean, like Tim and I, we gained weight for the role. You know, it was all really
right. Yeah, grew the hair out and everything.
Yeah.
It was.
You thought it was the quarantine that had us all this.
I've been working since March on my 15 pounds.
We've been all planning for Zoom since March.
Yeah.
We wanted to make it the best dang fan video we could.
Exactly. No, it is amazing. And we'll definitely of course we'll put it in the show notes, even though we've been sharing it every time it appears. I make sure we share it again. And you got us an IMDb credit, which is kind of cool there.
That is cool. I wasn't expecting that either. That was
that was pretty neat. Yeah. Tim and I are actually listed in IMDb thanks to Jeff and his amazing song. But I guess
I can actually go back and add so much stuff to that one now too. I'm like,
I don't know. Am I supposed
now I got to work again? I think so.
I love it how it actually says for me and Tim. It's like our actors appeared in the Zoom where it happened. Like that's our sole credit now.
But I think what we're supposed to do, and I haven't done this either, and I wrote the dang thing, but I think we're supposed to actually make our own pages now so we can link them. And I think you can link your podcast to it too.
Oh, okay.
So I think you can be like, I think you can be like, this is the official podcast or something. Yeah, I think you can go the distance.
See, this is our stepping stone to getting on that DVD commentary, Brian.
Yes, that's Tim and I. That is our goal. We want to get on it. Well, we kind of made a wink, wink, nod deal with Alok, right? To be podcasters.
Yeah.
Who have an apartment in one BR sequel, if it comes to be.
We've tried to be murdered podcasters for every horror producer we've ever.
Yeah. Pretty much we have like tentative deals with like 30 different people that probably forgot us by now. But
I will say that when you watch, because there's a lot of podcasters, I didn't realize how many horror podcasts there were out there until this year. Like, oh my god, honestly, there's so much out there. But and Jed was on every single one of them.
Yeah, he really was.
But I have noticed though that a lot of the more indie ones, especially, but even like hosts and everything, when they mention them, you get mentioned more than a lot of them too. So
that's nice.
Yeah, the interviews they had with you must be memorable.
Yeah,
that was a great time.
Yeah, we ended up this summer. I mean, especially, I feel really blessed with some of the connections we made and stuff, and just friendships we made. I mean, through this, and that was, in a time when you figure it's like most people have this isolation feeling. Thank God we're living in a time where you don't have to not have a social life in some way. I mean, that's like social media has its downfalls, of course, but like in this case, this was a savior this summer. I mean, it really was.
Honestly, it's and I don't want to downplay anything, any of the tragedies or the darkness of 2020 or even beginning of 2021. I would never do that. It's been rough on so many people, but when I look back on 2020, there's a lot of good there. I really do see a lot of good, and I like I said, I don't want to sour anything because I know there's so much, but I made, like you said, I made a lot of friendships. I made a lot of connections. I made legitimately good friends. I mean, I honestly, social media for me the previous 2 years was friendships to a certain extent, but it was just a lot of acquaintances. I would check it every once in a while. I'm on it all the time now because I want to chat with people and see what's going on and see legitimately, hey, what's going on with your life and everything like that too. And a lot of that was like a host and horror, and just what happened with Zoom and being able to do Zoom, like. For me, just if I can look back on just what 3 years of doing music and that random YouTube channel that I started, host for me or the Zoom for Zoom where it happened for me is going to be one of the highlights. Like 30 years from now, I'm going to look back and say that was one of the coolest things that I did, and I was so happy to be part of it. Like I don't even think of it as my song anymore. It's like everybody's song.
Well, just think how great it was that Zoom existed, or you would have had to rhyme Skype with a bunch of stuff. I mean,
oh my god. I don't even think there's a musical out there I could have used for that.
Yeah, I don't even know. There's nothing. I mean, that
in the Skype.
I mean,
in the Skype, but
well, no, you could have done like These Dreams, by heart. These teams you would have had to do, but
yeah,
I don't know if that would have made it into host though. That wouldn't have.
No, that's.
Yeah, I think you just got blessed that Zoom came out when it did in Hamilton.
It was a lucky marriage that happened.
It really was. It really. So I guess to wrap things up a little bit, I guess now that we've people now that if they didn't know where you were located on social media and YouTube and stuff, probably dying to find out now. So why don't you let everyone know where they can find you so they can see all your amazing songs?
Okay. The majority of my new stuff and videos are on my YouTube channel, which is Jeff Whitmire 47. That's where I tend to post anything new, anything current, even demos and all that. The polished stuff, all the produced stuff that you can purchase and buy, are on my Bandcamp page, which is jeffwhitmire.bandcamp.com. I will put, and I still haven't put Zoom over there yet. I need to do that, but so I do put singles over there. My album's there as well too, which is Deep Fried Superhero, which is 17 tracks, all parody, ranging from all my love, Star Wars and horror movies and Jason Momoa and Fortnite. I did parodies for Atari, home ownership and Neverending Story. Like
I love that one. That's a good one. I said that one to my brother because
that one gets that. People mention that one a lot as their favorite.
Yeah.
That one and I Meme to Meme are the two that show up too a lot. I did an acapella parody called I Meme to Meme, just about memes to I Dream to Dream. Clearly showing that I love musicals and I will parody them all day, like Randy Rainbow, just with less views.
But you're gonna say like, oh, Randy Rainbow's like that guy Jeff Whitmire.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So, and then also you can find me. Please follow me on Twitter, Jeff Whitmire, Jeff Whitmire 1 on Twitter. I'm extremely active. I love the chat. I love the comment. Come to me, talk to me about music, talk to me about horror. Because we'll get along.
Yeah, and we can attest that Jeff has become such a good friend, and he's a great person to talk to. I mean, Jeff and I go back and forth sometimes on direct messages for like 3 hours straight, just coming up with things. And I'm inadvertently
it always starts with Brian's. It always starts with Brian saying, "Hey, here's a song idea."
Yeah, I know. I haven't even met Jeff in person, and I haven't met his wife yet. And his wife probably already can't stand me because of.
I can't say the word. Oh, Brian just DM'd me.
Yeah, I know. I'm probably
see, the good thing is now, Brian, all the ideas that Brian used to just text me. Now he has somebody with actual musical talent that can actually.
Yeah.
They were just going into a dead end when they got to me because I'm like, what's with this?
Well, I had that really good parody song I wrote right before The Force Awakens came out, based off the trailer. Right before, well, actually, it was right before. It was when you knew details, but you didn't know how the movie was going to be. The movie hadn't been released yet, but it was, and Tim would like this one. It was called Welcome to Jakku. To Taylor Swift's Welcome to New York.
Oh, okay. All right.
I have to send it to you because it was actually, I thought the lyrics were great and everyone loved it. I just couldn't find someone to sing it. I didn't know someone that could sing like Taylor
That's,
Swift.
that's where it's always tricky for me because people have asked me to do that. They're like, I wrote a great parody and I just want someone to sing it. But I'm like, I'm always thinking to myself, just do it, sing it.
Oh, well, I
would
don't
always
think I could
do that, but
Yeah, I could put but now the thing is, even now this song is so dated because all the now, although the entire trilogy, second trilogy is complete, so there was a lot of references and jokes that would have worked before you knew all the stuff. So
yeah,
it's one of those.
But I did a Last Jedi
opportunities.
one, so that was actually my nomination this year was to a Last Jedi song. Yeah,
nice.
Have you heard my Last Jedi song?
No, but I like that.
You should totally check out my Last Jedi.
Yeah, no, I have to hear it. I'm going to send it to a friend of mine who hates the movie, so I got to.
It's totally in defense of Last Jedi and the people that hate and against the people that hate the movie.
Oh my god, I gotta. Okay, definitely.
And it was nominated for 2020 Parody of the Year.
Oh wow! Oh, that's awesome. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Definitely. I let me know what you think of it.
No, I'm going to listen to it right when we're done. Right after we record
it's
the rest
to
of the
Suddenly
show,
Seymour, actually.
Oh my god!
Another musical.
we have a friend that was in. He played. What did he play? Mr. Mushnick. Mike played.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike
In Little Shop of Horrors. We have a good friend. Does a podcast, a Coaster Radio. Mike and EB, basically were the responsible responsible party for getting Tim and I together. So anyone that doesn't like Civil Gore, you can blame those two. But they're guys, and he's
you're like the Stephen Page and the Ed Robertson of the podcast world.
Yeah,
exactly. But anyway, Jeff, thank you so much for stopping by. This was long overdue. And of course, anytime you come on with a new song, you got to pop back on, and we'll help promote it for you.
Well, and I'd also gladly come in and talk about a horror movie sometimes.
That's true. I know. One time we just need to have Jeff come along with do a full episode with us.
Yeah. I would like to do a multi-host episode. I think it would be cool to get a guest host on.
Yeah,
and just do a full episode.
We haven't done that since season 1, and it was we did 2 of them. It was with your brother and your sister-in-law. Basically, that was it. And all the other times
those were so much fun, though.
Yeah, we need to do that. We'll have to do. I have an idea, Jeff. One of the songs that I know you're working on. We have not done that movie in its full feature of it. So maybe that's what we'll do. We'll have you on to do the movie, and then you could debut the song.
I'm assuming it's not the one that came out last year.
No. It's
the one that came out 2 years ago. Oh, this year's one?
This year, the one this year.
This year, okay, all right.
So
yeah, because there's one from 2019 and one from 2020. So.
Oh yeah, no, this is the one from 20. It just came out recently.
Okay,
actually,
that one. Okay,
yeah.
All right, yeah.
Jeff's hard at work. Oh, and
I have a lot going on.
Yeah, but anyway, so thank you so much for coming by. This was awesome. It's always good to talk to you anyway. So it's great to talk to you in person again, and hopefully we got plenty of stuff to hear from you in the future.
All right, sounds good. Thanks everyone for listening. I appreciate it.
Okay, Brian, so I really hope that thing happens that we were talking about with Jeff, where we can get him on as kind of a guest host and we do a full episode. I think it'll be a really fun. Like you said, it's been a while since we've done that. It's been, since season 1, like you said. So I think that would be fun. That'd be something to kind of inject into the show and keep with our theme of a new beginning for season 5.
Yes, that's right. We need to start doing things that we, either stuff that we need to bring back or that we haven't tried, and then at the end of the season we'll reveal that this is not Tim and I at all.
No,
it's 2 other
we're
people
imposters.
playing Tim and I, and then we'll come back from the grave for 6 when it's Civil Gore lives.
Yeah,
but
that's after we get canceled.
And actually, that in itself, if you think about it, is a thing, because remember that's how we always did the seasons along the Friday the 13th.
Yeah, for some reason, they were always.
And then so just think though, when we're done with whenever we do, like, I don't know what we're gonna do for the Freddy vs. Jason thing. We'll have to pick another podcast to go versus, and then we'll have to disappear into a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Oh no, there's a remake then, and then the lawsuit, right? Then I guess.
Although some listeners may argue that Civil Gore has already gone to hell.
That's true. We might have already gone there. But hopefully there's enough of you that want us back. So.
All right, so let's get to our feature film this week. This one was long requested by our buddy David McHugh, and it's one of those things where it's not that I didn't want to see the film,
right? Yeah, it's been on my list since it debuted on Shudder.
You end up having summer vacations, and then you have holidays, and you're trying to do themes, and then you're like, oh, another zombie movie. I don't know about another zombie movie. So we decided when we were talking about which film to kick off season 5, that we needed to do. And Brian had a wonderful suggestion, and that was let's go ahead and do One Cut of the Dead because it's been requested so many times, and like we said, we wanted to watch it anyway. And I'm really glad we did. So let's talk about it. At least get the technical details out of the way first. So was made in 2017, and I'm going to butcher some names because these are all Japanese.
This is my favorite part is watching Tim struggle through these names. But
all right. Directed by Shinichiro Ueda, starring Takayuki Hamatsu as director Higurashi, Yuzuki Akiyama as Chinetsu, Harumi Shuhama as Nao, Kazuki Nagaya as Ko, Hiroshi Ichihara as Kasahara, and Mao as Mao. So
I don't know why. It just makes me laugh because the way you said it, I think you just said it so good. You're like, Mao as Mao.
Things go badly for a hack director and film crew shooting a low-budget zombie movie in an abandoned World War II Japanese facility when they are attacked by real zombies. And so let me start this review off by saying there is literally no way to talk about this movie without spoiling it. So if you have not seen this movie, please, 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 I beg of you. I know if you even listen to our reviews that we warn you about, typically, this is one I do not want to spoil for you. So if you have not seen One Cut of the Dead, go watch it on Shudder or rent it or whatever, and then come back and listen because this one is definitely too good to spoil because when we give away a crucial detail is literally the whole crux of this movie.
Yeah, so there's literally, if this movie is a giant spoiler alert, if you can't talk about it other than the most basic, it's a horror comedy zombie film. That's about all you could say if you don't want to spoil it for somebody. But the whole, like Tim said, the whole crux of this movie essentially is spoiling it.
Yeah, so you've been warned. If you continue past this point, it is on you. Don't blame me. All right, so.
Yes. I still think you'd enjoy it regardless, but yeah, you'll get way more out of it if you're not spoiled.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, Brian. I went into this not super hyped. I'm really over zombies. I'm really over it. And I know I say that, and then we come back and say, well, you know what? We were persuaded to watch this one more zombie movie, and it was actually really good, and they did something really different. And that's been true of the last few horror movies I've seen. Even though I was in a slump, I really liked them, like Anna and the Apocalypse.
Maybe that's why they keep coming out with them, because they are enough. There's enough there.
And it's frustrating, because I just want to be done. I want to be done with zombies. I don't want to deal with zombies. I even stopped watching Walking Dead. I stopped watching Fear the Walking Dead. And I, if you'd asked me a few years ago if I would just stop watching The Walking Dead, I would say you're insane. That's one of my favorite shows of all time. And I was just done. I'm burned out. And then on top of the pandemic, on top of it, I'm just like, things are too apocalyptic in real life. I don't want to live in that world. I don't want to live in that space anymore. So to say I was not hyped going into this is probably extremely accurate. And it starts off, as a typical kind of low-budget zombie movie. I could tell that it was probably being made to look like a low-budget zombie movie versus actually being one. I kind of got that sense, but as it progressed, I was like, okay, it's okay. It's okay. I see what they're doing. It's a well-made, low-budget zombie movie. That's nice. And then, 37 minutes into the movie, the entire thing gets flipped on its head. And that's when this movie comes to life. And all of a sudden you realize you've been hoodwinked this entire time. It wasn't really until the end of the movie that I realized what a brilliant piece of filmmaking this was. I'm curious to see what your thoughts were, Brian, when you realized what was going on.
So here's the thing. It doubled down on it in some way. It's like, I had a feeling because when I read the description, it said something about a twist. So my twist was going to be that, and here's a big spoiler here. While, like the description says, while they're filming this movie, real zombies strike. And then the funny thing is the director, who's trying to basically get his performances out of his actors, he's jumping out and saying, like, literally shooting this as if it's meant to be. So I'm kind of like, maybe he's planted that. But I didn't know to the extent that they planted this. And it basically, you find out through Like, well, first of all, I'm like shocked because all of a sudden, half hour into the movie, you get the end credits, and I'm
Yes.
like, wait,
Yeah,
I'm
the
like,
movie-
what happened? Did Shutter screw up? Is it really not an hour and a half? And
it's
only
important
a half
to
an hour?
note that this is 37 minutes uninterrupted. This is one take.
Yeah, which is the whole theme of the film. And you hear One Cut of the Dead, it literally sticks to that title, because that's the name of the movie within the movie, and it really is one cut of the first segment. And so then you find out. Then after that, it goes to this 1 month ago. And then you find out that it's this whole zombie channel, and they're doing this whole live show where it becomes a meta thing where it's like the real zombies that appear are all part of the whole ruse. But yet, what's so brilliant about it is it's like you see it all, so you basically watch the film, and then you see all the craziness behind it, and then then you kind of get the reveal of them filming it and how they did it. And it's hilarious because everything that could go wrong goes wrong. And so now you're seeing that, so it doubles down on the comedy part of it. And it's already funny the first time you watch it through, essentially. Because in the middle of the supposed zombie attack, the director just pops out of place and he goes keep shooting! And it's already funny and over the top. Then you get this reveal, and it's actually this unique family story going in there where you find out not the real director is kind of his whole shtick is producing just good enough.
Yeah.
Which I think is a brilliant take on it anyway. And that's what they're looking for. And that's exactly the funny thing is that's what they wanted. They wanted a director that could just do enough. But what happens is they turn out, during the reading of it, I guess you find that the lead actor and one of the lead actor and actresses are, she shows up with a baby, and it's they can't even get through the read through. And then the day of shooting where they're literally going live and they have everything having to time down because it's not like they can cut because it's a live show. They don't show it. You find out they're having an affair and they get into a car accident. So he has to get his wife involved. The director has to get his wife, and he has to become the director of he's got to direct himself becoming the director character in the movie. And then his wife who apparently we find out has been this crazy method actress is why she quit acting in the first place, plays a role in there. So it's that causes a problem. And then his daughter, which you find out, who kind of she has kind of some animosity towards her father, but she's really pushing her mom to be in it. Turns out she becomes part of it because I guess she likes the fact that her heartthrob actor is starring in it as well. So she comes in and kind of starts helping fix all these problems. It's just one thing after another, and it's moved at this frenetic pace, but it's you still get such great comedy. You even get a little bit of heartfelt moment there towards the end, and it's so funny. I mean, you got the one guy that has a problem. He can't drink real water. He poops, and it's that causes a problem. I mean,
Yeah.
It's just the and I watched it twice, and the second time I really caught some of the brilliance of the way they did this, and it's just oh my God, it's so good. It's such a great performances by everybody in it. Especially the guy that played the director who has this dual role of, he's just kind of nebbishy guy that's kind of really they have this little tiny apartment and his daughter's about to go, I guess, move out, and she's just he just wants to get through this role and try and get this movie made for the zombie channel, I guess, supposedly it's called. And it's but he's got to at the last minute fill in and go over the top so you see both sides of him. It's just really well done. It really just a cool premise. And you figure, like Tim said, how many times are you going to come up with a premise that's different enough to spark an interest in a zombie film? And this one found a way to do it.
Yeah, and the reason it's a great zombie film is because it's not a zombie film, really.
Right. It could have been, you're right.
Yeah.
I was going to say that. It could have been any film they were shooting, and this would have worked.
Yeah, because the first 37 minutes is a horror comedy.
Yeah.
Where you're watching the film that they're going to shoot. And then the last hour of the movie is about them making this film. And the last hour is really not a horror movie. It's almost a pure comedy, but it's so brilliant that I don't even mind calling this more comedy than horror, because I was just so impressed with what they pulled off. And like Brian was saying, it definitely rewards watching a second time, because the first time through you realize, you're watching this and you're going, well, this is, there's things that are off about it, about the when I say off about it, I'm saying the short film inside the film.
Yeah.
There's things that are just off about it, and you don't really understand. And then the second half of the movie shows you why all those things were that way. And it's so mind-blowing to see, oh, well, this is why the camera was set down for this period of time for so long, and why this shot looks so awkward, because later on you'll see the behind the scenes of why that was. And one thing that's really neat is during the post-credits, you get to see them actually filming the movie.
Yeah.
When I say like
cool.
actually filming One Cut of the Dead, and they literally had a third film crew filming the short film.
Yeah.
So,
and there's a spin-off I saw, I guess. There's a spin-off version of this movie that I got to track down. Something about Hollywood or something. I saw it on IMDb. And then the end credit song, actually, you can get on iTunes, and the two, that and the full zombie soundtrack that's in it, that bum 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 bum, that you could get that on iTunes. I actually downloaded the end credit song because it's very catchy and just very jovial, and it's the perfect ending to it. And I think what it is too. I think every performance in it was so perfect.
Very good. You have super good performances. I was very, very impressed, especially when the director is so unlikable at the start of the movie. So you think, think, oh my God, this guy is such a jackass. And then you find out he's like one of the nicest guys in real life.
Yeah.
And then it's just brilliant the way they manipulate the viewer and twist things around, but then at the same time making a commentary about filmmaking. And obviously I'm not a filmmaker, but to see all the things that they portray in this, the things that go wrong, and the struggle it takes to make an independent movie, and then realize there was an actual movie maker and crew making this movie about making a movie. It just blows my mind how they pulled this off. I would love to watch a documentary about them making this movie.
I think there is a little segment on it. I don't know if it's available on the disc version of this, but if you look at the IMDb page of the actors, there's a couple of credits referring to this film, not just the movie, but side projects of it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's available. We can get our hands on that. I got to do a little more research on that, but yeah, just some of the sequences are absolutely hilarious. There's this one actor they hire who's a drunk, and he gets hold of the sake that they had, and at one point he's literally, when you watch the movie the first time, you think, wow, he's just playing a really good zombie, but it turns out he was passed out, and they're literally manipulating him Weekend at Bernie's style throughout the first. And he wakes up, he goes, is it time? And he goes, it's already started. It's just there's just so many little sequences that and I will tell you, since it's subtitled, you need to watch it, I think, a second time, because it's hard to kind of keep track of the subtitles in some of the sequences, because at that fast pace, you're seeing 2 lines of dialogue appear on the screen at once, and it's fast. So I think definitely the second viewing helps on that aspect too. But again, like Tim said, you catch so many little details to it. Like there's this one sequence where it's really an awkward, slow part, and they're the girl's screaming for what seems like 2 minutes, and then they show you when they redo it what happened is because they're literally trying to create put live makeup on one of the actresses while they're because they didn't expect it to happen, so they're frantically trying to dress her up as a victim with an axe, in her head, but they can't, but since it's live, they can't do it fast enough, so they literally are just telling this girl to keep screaming.
Yeah.
And it's and the funny thing is they keep cutting to the producers of it and the people behind the scenes that are in the room editing it and their reactions to it. So it's just the way this was edited to where you get so many different viewpoints of this constantly is just, oh my God, it's so fun.
It's got to be difficult to intentionally make a bad movie in such a way that you're going to also film why it was bad in the second half. I mean, I was reading a review about it, and they were saying just the block. I mean, it's hard enough to film a one take movie.
Yeah.
And they not only filmed a one take movie, but they also had to film it in such a way that they could fill in the stuff that was behind the scenes later on. And so just the sheer amount of blocking and stuff they had to do to coordinate all this was incredible. This thing was shot in 8 days.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
as we'll find out in the trivia. So it's just a remarkable achievement. It's very different from anything out there. I am sorry that I dismissed this as a zombie movie.
yeah,
because
it's really.
as a movie. In fact, I texted Steve and Brian today and said like 2020 has like sucked the joy out of movies for me. It really has, and I feel like. I mean, I just didn't care for Wonder Woman. I didn't care for Soul. I've been watching all these movies that have come out, and I'm just like, they're all
horror's
right.
been good at least. Horror seems to.
Horror's been good, yeah, but it's like I felt like as a movie lover in general, not just horror, but
well,
just
I
in
think it
general.
goes to that thing we said about like the fact that you're not seeing them in theaters. You know, it kind of
Yeah.
takes away. You're kind of getting, it's automatically like this
Yeah,
downplay. Like horror is one thing because I think horror a lot of times, they don't make the theater all the time. Some of the best horror movies don't even make the theater. They come straight to Blu-ray or.
And I watch
or
most of my
streaming.
horror at home anyway. Yeah, I think
Right.
you're right. I'm used to that. Like I'm used to waiting until it comes out on DVD or whatever. So, but we'll have date nights. We'll go to Redbox, and there's like, it's just all old crap or these weird indie movies. And I'm not talking horror. I'm talking about other genres that I don't want to see. Or is oh my God, Trolls World Tour. It's still here. Oh, great. And it's just like I've been so depressed at not having really good new movies that it's kind of just sucked the whole joy out of it for me. And this put a glimmer of it back for me. Like it put a glimmer of the love of filmmaking and movies. Put a slight glimmer back. So there's hope on the horizon now, Brian.
Yeah. Well, and another thing is too what we kind of touched on earlier. Why this isn't just a horror, a zombie movie, so to speak. You could have made the plot of the movie a ghost story or a monster movie, and basically it would have worked. So it's the zombie was just a tool to, it was just the plot of the movie to use. It really could have been any plot to the movie, and this movie would have been just as good. So I think the zombie aspect of it it may be added to the comedy a little bit, but it used it properly. Like it didn't try and be a zombie movie. It just used zombie movie to propel the plot, kind of like the premise, but it literally could have been any kind of other horror plot. Could have been a slasher film. It could have been anything really they could have done, and this I think would have been just as good. I think the zombie just adds to the comedy of it, because zombie movies are so easy to borderline comedy. I mean so I think that's probably why they made that choice. But yeah, no matter what, if you are like I don't want to see another zombie movie ever again, don't let this suffer for it, because this is not really a zombie movie at all.
Let's get to some of the trivia here. This movie only cost $25,000 to make. We already mentioned it was filmed in 8 days, but it made over $25 million.
That's a pretty nice profit there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then as what we said earlier, the first 37 minutes was actually shot in one take, and it took 2 days and 6 takes for the cast and crew to get the perfect one. So basically 2 of the 8 days were just in this opening sequence, but it paid off, and it's funny because I don't even think you notice it that it's a one full take, because you're just so you just get so into it, and it just has it in a style of where it's. I don't think you realize that it's because they're filming a movie, so to speak. So you just kind of take it for what it is. I don't think you realize that it's literally one take.
Yeah.
So it's kind of really well done in that aspect.
Most of the cast paid money to be in this movie, at least initially, because this was a final product of an acting and directing workshop called ENBU Seminar. And I mean, what a wonderful performances by these by this cast for them to be relatively new to this.
Yeah, and the lead actress, I think she was so good. I mean, like, she was so funny because like her screaming in it is like so hilarious, and like you kind of write her off as like this this typical screaming actress, silly, funny. But then like actually when you go to the behind the scenes and she's at the table read, you realize she's actually supposedly this really big actress with an agent, and they don't, there's certain things that she's allowed to do and not allowed to do, and apparently I guess close up on her butt is okay in her by her agency, because that shot happens about like 50 every time she climbs up the stairs.
Yeah,
and there's got to be a joke there, that intentional joke of that. I don't know why they're really trying to go for other than that, but it's kind of funny. But another thing is the original title was Kamera wo Tomaru na, which in Japanese means "Don't Stop Shooting," which is perfect title for this film. That go to work just as much.
I'm gonna skip down to this one, Brian, because I actually noticed this when I was watching it. There's an early scene in which the director berates the actress for being insufficiently terrified, which is a sly reference to the filming of The Shining, during which Stanley Kubrick famously bullied Shelley Duvall to get a better performance. And I was actually thinking that when I was watching that scene, I was like, oh my god, he's like Stanley Kubrick in The Shining. So it wasn't sly enough to get past old Tim here.
No, nothing gets past him. And I'm glad I'm glad you saved this one for me, because this I noticed too, and this is one of my favorite movies too. The structure of this film mimics Michael Frayn's farce Noises Off, which Peter Bogdanovich filmed, in which 3 performances of the same play are filmed from different perspectives, in rehearsal, from backstage, and from the audience point of view. And that's exactly kind of the vibe I got from this. And I don't know, have you seen Noises Off, Tim?
I feel like I have, maybe way long ago. I don't remember much about it. I either saw the, I don't know if I saw the movie or if I saw a production. I feel like I saw a local production.
Well, the production actually, and it's the reason I know this is because my sister-in-law actually, who does play acting, she was in it, was See How They Run, which was the play within the play Noises Off. Mm-hmm. And she played actually the Carol Burnett role that in Noises Off. The Carol Burnett played was with the housekeeper. That's who my sister-in-law played. And we still have a running joke about it because she kept saying the vicar. And so now whenever I see vicar, I always laugh. But yeah, so that I totally got that. That's kind of the vibe. If Tim and I didn't describe it well, that's kind of, if you've seen Noises Off, that's kind of the vibe you get, where it's like, and the reason why they do that is, it's almost a thing. So it's a familiarity way to do it. So they kind of go through it in such a good way that now when you see it again later from the audience's point of view and the behind the scenes-y kind of things, you kind of remember each scene. That's what I think was really telling of this movie on how good a movie it was, is that when you, now remember, so you see it, then there's the whole like interlude supposedly of them trying to create, get it all prepped and everything and get it ready, like when he signs his deal and he has his home life with his daughter. And then they do the table read and stuff. And then you go into the movie again. But it's so well done and so memorable the first time around that when they redo it, you kind of remember all the sequences. And it really pays off. Like, from the way the guy's like arm comes off, and the way like you see from the different angle, and then why she has to, why they have that weird awkward conversation about her and her like kung fu stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like her like with a palm, that whole thing. So it's just so well done. I mean, it shows how good it is that you can you remember all the sequences as they show you how they did it, so to speak, in the third act of the film. So yeah, this just a great film. I can't recommend it anymore. So I just wish David McHugh would have told us sooner and more to watch this. I don't think he sold it enough. He really only kind of casually no, just kidding. He literally lambasted us every chance he got to watch this.
And so rightly David, so, rightly so.
This sponsored by you. No, but thank you so much. We did want to see this.
Yeah, and I was all prepared to like have to apologetically say, "Oh, well, I liked it. It was okay," and kind of disappoint him because it didn't live up to the hype for me. But fortunately, it did live up to the hype. So I was very, very glad that I finally sat down and watched it. So yes. Yeah, great job. All right, Brian. So what is our beer pairing for One Cut of the Dead?
So believe it or not, there's not a lot of there's not as many zombie themed beers with the word zombie in it as you would expect, and I think we used the other ones that I found already. But I did find this one, which I thought was interesting, and it kind of has a somewhat of a kind of a loose reference to the movie too. It's called Undead Party Crasher, and it's the brewery. It's it's by Clown Shoes. Sorry, I left the brewery off, but they actually have 2 locations: Boston, Massachusetts, and Windsor, Vermont. Mm-hmm. This is 9%. And the ingredients are holy water, smoked malt, and lactose.
Okay.
Interesting, right?
All right.
So It says, "Undead beware, the undead party crasher cares not for your festivities of the evil afterlife. Thou hast been vanquished before, and I shall vanquish thee again. Our big and bold American Imperial Stout utilizes holy water and malt bill included smoked malts for an Imperial Stout that bursts with dark malt flavor. Rich notes of coffee and chocolate mingle throughout an intense and full-bodied stout."
Nice. All right. Well, let's get to our triple threat. You guys have been hanging on for a while here for this one. We're looking for an actor or actress. And the answer was Mr. Jeffrey Combs, who I talked about in my From Beyond commentary earlier. So, clue number 1, I've been known to be in many films that prove I love my craft. And, of course, he loves his Lovecraft. Jeffrey is known as the first Lovecraftian actor by fans of H.P. Lovecraft for his frequent appearances in movies based on Lovecraft's writings, including a portrayal of Lovecraft himself in Necronomicon Book of the Dead from 1993, and also for his involvement in other HPL projects. Clue number 2, I'm one of only 6 actors who have appeared in the finales of 2 different Star Trek series. So he's one of only 6 actors, along with Jonathan Frakes, Brent Spiner, Marina Sirtis, Michael Dorn, and Colin Meaney, to appear in the finales of 2 different Star Trek series, Deep Space Nine from 1993 and Star Trek Enterprise from 2001. He is also the only one who is not a regular on any Star Trek series, and the only one to play different characters in each finale, Wei Yun in the former and Shran in the latter.
Interesting piece of trivia there.
Yeah, that's pretty involved. And then clue number 3, I once voiced a character on a couple of Scooby-Doo episodes parodying a character I played in a film. So Jeffrey played in Scooby-Doo a character named H.P. Hatecraft.
That's something like Tim and I would make up.
Yeah, obviously parodying H.P. Lovecraft, which Jeffrey played in the 1993 film Necronomicon Book of the Dead. I love Scooby-Doo. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, so our triple threat for this week, we are looking for an actress. We're even giving you the gender now. So
yes,
giving you an actress. All right. Listen
I think
carefully.
this is an easy one, though.
Yeah, I think so. Clue number 1. While I may have been a fan favorite in my first film, I was really loving my longest recurring role. Clue number 2. I once starred in a film with several Saturday Night Live alumni. And clue number 3. I technically had appearances in 3 of one of the most popular slasher franchises. So 3 films in one of the most popular slasher franchises. Who am I?
I think people should be able to get this. Civil Gore listeners should be able to get this.
You should definitely be able to get that one. All right, and then we have, again, this whole episode apparently is dedicated to David McHugh because he's got another fantastic fan topic food question, and that is, what is your favorite food to eat?
Yeah. Well, I know Tim and I have one major similar one, and that is our love of sushi.
Yeah, I do like sushi, but it's not my favorite.
No, it's not. No, I know it's not your favorite. I was just trying to go start with one that we both love together, and we've actually had, I think, sushi together multiple times, actually, on many occasions when we can. So
and sushi's a relatively new food for me. Like, I didn't eat my first sushi until I was probably in my 30s.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think I started early 20s is when I really got into sushi. So now it's my. And actually, you want to hear something horrible? So at the beginning of the pandemic, I was really worried about any food that wasn't cooked.
Mm-hmm.
And this was so horrible because sushi was one of my favorite things, but I was nervous to get it, to the point of where I psyched myself out to that I was never even craving it anymore. And I think it was around my birthday time when I was, which was late May, where, at that point, I think, more facts came out about it, and, okay, it really doesn't live in food. So, whatever food you get, you don't have to, you don't worry about it being in the food. So it's then all of a sudden it was I started to feel calm, and I'm so Julie's well, let's get sushi for your birthday. So we splurged and took out sushi, and I got the craving back, and it's been there ever since. So it's good. So I've had it multiple times since then, most recently on New Year's Eve. So
funnily enough, Anna, my daughter, loves sushi, and she's 11. So I don't typically see kids that like sushi like that, but she absolutely loves it. And I'm talking real sushi, not just California rolls. I mean, she likes the tuna rolls and salmon rolls and stuff like that too. So
yeah, I will say that place in Wilmington with the even though the sushi was great, that shrimp dish, whatever you
Yosaki.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
that shrimp dish is one of the best shrimp dishes I ever had. I'm a big shrimp fan too.
Yeah, firecracker shrimp. from Yosaki is almost so good.
That, and I think that was like rivals even that Budokan shrimp we had. Remember, we had the rock shrimp at Budokan, and Budokan is like one of the best highly popular restaurants in New York. We went with you and Olivia when you guys came in that time, and that's one of their good dishes there. But I think even that firecracker shrimp at the place in Wilmington might have even beat that.
What's even crazier is if you go before 7, like they have all their appetizers half off.
I think we did, right? Because we lived it up that night. I mean,
oh my god, we could order sushi rolls and appetizers and everything you eat like cheap. But no, my getting back to the topic at hand, my favorite food of all time is pizza. No question, it's pizza hands down. I'm a huge pizza fan. I will eat pizza. I could probably eat it 4 to 5 times a week if I was so inclined. I could probably do that. That's hands down my favorite food.
Yeah, I think it's there for me too. I mean, pizza and burgers, specifically like a really good, really good burger. It's one of the things I always crave. But pizza, I think, is probably the thing that overall I might have to say is my favorite, just because it's my comfort food. It's it's the food when like, oh my god, like I just want something, like I'm tired, I want to just order in. My first go-to is usually pizza, and I still remember this. So after Hurricane Sandy, or Tropical Storm Sandy, technically, if you want to be scientifically specific, when it hit here, we lost all the power in our neighborhood. A lot of places did for a while. We lost it for about, I think, 2 weeks. But after the first night of the storm, I remember Julie and I were literally eating nothing could be heated because we had enough. We were literally eating, like, it happened to be right around Halloween, so we were eating either Halloween candy or like whatever we had, like in the fridge. We were trying to eat out because the fridge, because we didn't know how long it was gonna last. And at one point we did like a neighbor in our courtyard there. We had the neighbors. We did like this barbecue like on the decks and stuff. So literally we were struggling for like anything hot food. And after 2 days of like really not eating a good hot meal, it's like it starts to get draining. And I'm like, I just wish something was open. And I think we were driving around and we noticed that one of our local pizza places was open. Line out the door. Is one of the few places that were open that had power somehow. And all we wanted was this we wanted just something warm, so we ordered this hot pizza. I waited like 45 minutes online to finally order it, and then I got the pizza. We took it home, and for some reason it was like literally one of the best pizzas I've ever had in my entire life. And it was like piping hot. It probably seemed hotter than it actually was, just because we're so used to cold food. And the funny thing is, this place was always decent, but like this time it stepped it up a notch, but it was never that good again. We like tried to replicate it a couple of weeks later when we had power back and everything. We're like, oh, let's get the pizza, we'll go to that place again. Just not the same. It was like a magical moment there. But yeah, no, I think for me, pizzas, it got to be up there. Good burgers up there always. I mean, good burrito too is like a big thing for me. But yeah, if I had to pick one, I probably would have to go pizza. Just
and
because
I will tell you, one of the highlights of our trip to New York, as much as we went to these excellent restaurants and we went to that bakery and had cronuts for the first time, we went to that bar, that cool hidden bar. I mean, we went to all these really cool places, but still one of the things that stands out in my mind is going to late night, that trashy little pizza place, and just getting authentic, cheap, trashy New York pizza. I love it.
And that wasn't even one of the good trashy.
It was just like,
it's convenient, but yeah. Something about New
it.
York pizza in the middle of the night is just...
it was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. Yeah.
And Tim learned to eat it while walking, which was a key. That's like, Tim learned right away. He got like thrown right into the fire.
Like, do you agree? I could be a New Yorker, Brian. I think I could
easily.
do it. I could do it.
Even with those gentle, dulcet tones, you like fit the bill in every other way, I think, to be a New Yorker there.
Yeah, I just felt so at home there. It was so weird. It was such a weird experience to go to a city I've never really been to before. I've driven through it. I have driven through it once, but I've never set foot in New York City. And to go there for the first time and feel like it felt like home. I mean, it was really, really weird. It was a really strange. I've never had that feeling going into any other city. It was. I guess the only thing I can explain is you see it so much in movies and television that there's a comfort level there.
It could be, yeah. But it was funny too, is because I mean, obviously, I've lived there for many years. You know, even though I left for about 5 years, I came back. But you know, like. And the fun thing is when, you know, we like Julie and I decided we'd like really like spend some time with, you know, and show you guys around. So we actually got a hotel in the same hotel just for fun to be in the city for the weekend. And like Julie and I said, like, you know, we've been to the city a million times, but like something about that time was even extra fun just because I think it was like, you know, because we just kind of felt like we were living in the city actually for the weekend and like seeing it through your eyes and just getting to like just have like, you know, full on New York experiences is kind of fun, you know. It's like it kind of like brings the magic back to it, and that's like I haven't been back really since, you know, the pandemic because, you know, so many things closed down, and you know it's really not, you know, it's like this, you know, it's not the same to go in there, and you know you're still worried, you know, we don't go in a restaurant, so it's like half the fun in New York is trying a new restaurant, going into a new bar, you know, so it's like. You know, or a museum or something, basically things that I don't feel comfortable doing right now. So I know it'll be like, I'm hoping like once things die down and you feel comfortable doing these things again, like New York will have that magic again. Because, you know, I know a lot of places sadly have closed down and just have not survived the pandemic. You know, some iconic places, some really places you love just are not going to be there. I mean, some of the, you know, the bakery, Dominic Ansel, that's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing strong because he found a way, you know, to. Although his LA place closed actually because LA got hit so badly, and you know he was in this like fancy shopping center there, so his LA place closed. But you know, like some other my favorite restaurants still managed to survive because they were able to make some outdoor seating and stuff, and you know, and I guess they did enough takeouts and a way to survive. But. Yeah, I know some of my brother's places that he loved closed down, and so it's hopefully they'll come back somehow in some way. But
yeah, well, we'll be back up there eventually because I definitely want to take the kids next time and let them see the city because I think they'd be amazed. I think they'd be amazed.
Oh yeah, they would have a ball.
They would love it. All right, guys, so we're going to get out of here. We'll be back next week for more goodness and another great interview. So look forward to that, and we'll see you back here later.